Welcome back, everybody. I thought I would try something a little different today, and I hope you guys are okay with that. Now, this will be in addition to our regular reaction, which I will still do today. I wanted to take some time every so often, and we'll make this a series, and I'll do a playlist for it, just showing you some of my favorite scenes from some of my favorite historical films, series, etc. A lot of you are asking me all the time if I would react to historical series and movies. And of course, there's certain concerns about copyright and things of that nature. So I thought maybe a way to dive into that would be to show you clips from things and just talk about why I love it so much and why I recommend it. So I thought I would do that, and I'm going to start today with one of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite historical dramas, which is Turn, Washington Spies by AMC. If you're not familiar with Turn tells a relatively, until recently, unknown story from the American Revolution, which is the story of the Culper Ring. Now, a couple years ago, I read a book about the Culper Ring. It was fantastic. Basically, what the Culper Ring was a spy network that was overseen by George Washington and known about by very few in the American government or even in the American military beyond Washington himself and a few other people. And it was this spy ring that had a really significant role in the Revolutionary War, not only in uncovering what the British were up to, but also in deceiving them about what the Americans were up to. And it's actually only been in the last few decades that we've even discovered the identity of some of the people involved in the Culper Ring. To this day, we still don't know the names of some of them. There's some speculation about that. Benjamin Talmadge, who was a dragoon leader during the Revolutionary War, ends up a congressman after the war. He was a part of the Culper Ring. Of course, Abraham Woodhull is probably the star of the show. But there's a couple of scenes that I want to show you from Turn, Washington Spies that I absolutely love and that I think really capture things well. And this is one from Season 2, Episode 7, which is Valley Forge. This is during that terrible winter at Valley Forge. Morale's at a low. George Washington is really struggling with things. And I want to introduce this scene to you and tell you why I think it's so powerful. George Washington had an older half-brother that he really looked up to. His older half-brother actually had a captain's commission in the British Army. There was a regiment of foot that was raised for the British Army in the colonies back in, I think, the 1740s. And his brother was given a commission his brother Lawrence was given a commission as a captain in that unit. And Lawrence ends up dying, I think, in his 20s. And Washington was devastated by Lawrence's loss. Lawrence was the one who first lived in Mount Vernon, which was then passed on eventually to George. Lawrence is, there's only one remaining portrait of Lawrence, and it actually hung in George Washington's study at Mount Vernon. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of how he looked up to his older brother. He always wanted to have his own commission in the British Army, which he never received. Lawrence was able to get that. George wasn't. So for a large part of his life, George kind of lived in the shadow of his brother Lawrence. And so now we have this scene, and I think that the imagery of this scene is set up by the famous painting of George Washington on his knees praying at Valley Forge. It reminds me of that. And so what you have in this scene is you have George at an all-time low personally, and he has a vision of his brother Lawrence. And I just love this scene because it sets up beautifully George kind of looking up to Lawrence, wanting some affirmation from him, and at the very beginning seemingly not getting it. Instead, it seems like Lawrence is actually criticizing him, but then it takes a very different direction. I get chills every time I watch this scene. Join me as we watch it together.
Lawrence?
Wearing his army uniform, of course.
What is all this? This war? Was it a mistake? Was it greed? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Answer me. Damn you! I have done everything you ever taught me. Tamed my temper. Gave gentlemen a sought opportunity. I've climbed and clawed and fought. And now I'm respected, feared, hated, and worshipped. But for what? I'm not who they think I am.
I want to pause it for just a second. I don't want to interrupt it too much, but boy, what a great... I love this portrayal of Washington because they're not portraying him as this larger-than-life kind of godlike figure. He's a human being with faults and flaws and insecurities. And here he's struggling with the image of George Washington that people... he says, I'm feared, I'm hated, I'm loved, I'm worshipped. I'm not who they think I am. And I love that. I love that he, you can imagine that at this moment at Valley Forge when things are low and things aren't looking great, that he's struggling with who he is and whether or not he can lead these people and whether or not he can actually succeed. And he's looking for affirmation from Lawrence.
But for the love of God, say something. Please.
As always, you ask what I would do, and I will tell you what I would not. I would never spare a murderer. Nor lose Long Island, nor retreat at White Plains, nor be outflanked at Brandywine. Nor cross the Delaware on Christmas night to claim a surprise victory. Nor lead a campaign against the mightiest empire on earth. But then again, I am not you.
I love that scene. I wouldn't have screwed up the way you did, George, losing Long Island, getting outflanked at Brandywine. But I also wouldn't have done what you did at Trenton. I wouldn't have taken on the British Army and won. But then again, I'm not you. I just love that. Obviously, it's a fictional scene. I mean, we don't know what happened in Washington's mind, but I love this scene for so many reasons. I love the way it humanizes George Washington. I love how it shows the struggle going on in his own heart and mind when he's at that low point. I love how it shows him having someone that he looked up to. As everyone looked up to Washington, Washington had someone he looked up to, and it was dead brother. And him receiving that affirmation and his brother saying, listen, you don't have to be me. Be George Washington and get out there and do what you were born to do. So I love that scene for so many reasons, and I'll show you some more clips from Turn down the road. There's some stuff with John Andre that I think is fantastic and some other things as well. But I'll do this, and if you guys want to see more of this kind of thing, me kind of showing clips and giving you my opinions on different movies and TV shows, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you would. Make sure you check out Turn, Washington Spies. I think it's well worth your time. It's not 100% accurate, as any historic series is going to have liberties that it takes, but by and large it gets a lot of the big important stuff right, and it's a good look at that time period that we don't often get. So I encourage you to check it out. Thanks for watching.